We're talking about mysteries and phenomena, from ghosties to whether or not aliens exist and come down here on a planet. But I got to tell you, here's one that's you got to know a little bit about. This, the 21st of December, the year 2012, as the end of the world as we know it today. We'll talk more about it. Take a look at this. What would you do if you knew you only had 5 more years to live? According to ancient prophecy, planetary formation, and even internet-based data, doomsday is close at hand. 1,500 years ago, the Mayans from Central America devised an amazingly accurate calendar predicting the perfect alignment of the Earth, Sun, and a black hole in our galaxy. This event, which apparently happens every 26,000 years, was only recently discovered by the world's scientists. Medieval psychics, Native American tribes, and now an internet-based software program called the Webbot, which has already predicted international disasters, all tell of a doomsday in our time. Are these random coincidences, the aimless raves of crazy people, or could December 21st, 2012 be the last days for all of us?
Good God, we're doomed!
Was our race genetically engineered 6,000 years ago? Were we created by beings from distant space to work as laborers toward some unknown end? From ancient cave paintings to the conquest of space, we have grappled with the truths of our beginnings. But what if the question of our origin falls outside the realm of social acceptability?
Through the study of historical relics and the translation of ancient languages, many biblical researchers now believe that the previously questioned Old Testament references are indeed historically authentic accounts of flourishing advanced cultures.
If you study the Genesis document, God made Adam out of clay and then took Eve out of his rib, one of his ribs, etc. If you study this document, you discover that it is really a much shorter version of a much more complicated document that comes out of Babylonia and then out of Sumer and so on. Now, these ancient texts give a really complicated story of powerful non-human godlike beings actually engineering us, making us for specific purposes.
The story of reptilian gods from the heavens creating man is not at all uncommon. In fact, similar stories can be found in every region of our planet. In Japan, emperors claim descent from dragon gods who came from the sky. Australian Aborigines teach of a reptilian race which lives under the earth and governs over men. They believe they are descendants of a race of dragon humans. China teaches of the serpent queen Nakua, which interbred with man. India calls these reptilian gods Nagas and claims they've seeded their royal families. Throughout the Middle East, it is believed a serpent race created man. The book of Genesis tells of giants who came from the heavens to breed with the daughters of men. They are called the Nephilim. In Africa, they call them the Jatari, children of the serpent. The royal kings of Africa claim descent from the serpent gods who came from the sky. In South America, the Mayans teach that their ancestors were the people of the serpent. The Aztecs were said to be created by a serpent woman. In America, the Hopi Indians believe sky gods came to the earth to breed with their women and refer to them as their snake brothers. The word Sioux means snakes, and Iroquois means serpents. It seems the only places you will not find this historical tale is where the history has been methodically destroyed. The descendants of King Anu in Sumerian Babylon can be traced throughout time. The pharaohs of Egypt were from the bloodlines of the Babylonian kings. The rulers of the Roman Empire can be traced back to Egyptian hierarchy. All through Europe, the royal families can be traced back to the great Roman Empire. 36 of the presidents in the United States are directly descended from Egyptian royalty, with the remaining 8 who are only closely related to these same bloodlines. There are many that believe the Anunnaki genetically altered the DNA of early man to create a slave race of humans that would mine the precious metals of the earth so that they can use this to maintain their atmosphere on their planet, Nibiru.
People that look like us started to come between their planet and Earth about 450,000 years ago. Why do they look like us? We look like them. Because if you know the Bible, at some point they engaged in genetic engineering and mixed their genes with the genes of Homo erectus. We can use various scientific terms, but let's say with early hominids to bring about Homo sapiens, us.
In 2005, scientists began what is known as the Chimpanzee Genome Project. This was to determine why primates have 2 more chromosomes than humans. After logging thousands of strands of genetic code, they discovered there must have been a head-to-head fusion of 2 primate chromosomes, resulting in the 46 chromosomes we find in ourselves today. But how did this fusion take place? For 2.5 million years, our prehistoric ancestors were living in caves and passing the time by, well, you get the idea. And then, as if overnight, everything changed. Suddenly, all over the world, people began to build monuments and pyramids.
There are pyramids on remote Pacific islands, and in India, and in Mexico. So this is something that's all over the world. Archaeologists haven't really been able to explain why dissimilar cultures, separated by huge oceans, are building the same structures and in many ways the same way.
Here in central Mexico stands a city that dates back over 2,000 years. Its name, Teotihuacan, literally means City of the Gods. And located at its center is the Pyramid of the Sun. Incredibly, this pyramid's perimeter is virtually the same as that of the Great Pyramid of Giza. A structural coincidence? Or could it be that both were inspired by the same designers? Gigantic geoglyphs aren't the only mysteries surrounding Nazca.
I was flying over Nazca for days.